Types of sleeping pills. Sleeping pills are not all the same. They vary in potency and the speed with which they are absorbed in the body and the length of time they stay active and in their side effects. These differences are important because they determine when you should take the pills and what to expect in terms of how alert you will be the next day or what other side effects you might experience. Your physician will be able to tell you which pill is the right one for you. For example, if you need to be alert the next day, you want a drug with a short half-life. The amount of time it takes for half of the dosage to be completely metabolized by your body. A drug with a longer half-life might give you deeper sleep, but will have longer lasting effects and will keep you groggy in the morning. Similarly, you don't want to take a rapidly absorbed drug 2 hours before going to bed, or a drug that takes a long time to get absorbed at bedtime. You may have to make a choice. Many of the less potent prescription drugs are safer than the stronger ones, so you may have to deal with a few extra side effects if the weaker drugs don't work for you. The benzodiazepines. The class of drugs that is most often prescribed for insomnia is the benzodiazepines. Benzodiazepines are relatively safe and have few side effects, but after long-term use, you can become tolerant to them or dependent on them. Benzodiazepines are marketed as both tranquilizers and sleep aids. The dosage is more telling of the function than is the name of the drug. For example, Valium is often used as a sleeping pill in higher doses and as a daytime anti-anxiety drug in lower doses. Benzodiazepines can be prescribed by your doctor and cover a wide range of half-lives and absorption rates to meet the needs of many people. Over-the-counter medications. Non-prescription, over-the-counter sleeping drugs such as Nidil or Somanex are primarily antihistamines, as are many nasal sprays. They will make you tired and groggy, but may also cause side effects if you are sensitive to them. Over-the-counter drugs should be taken with the same caution as prescription drugs. Always read the label so you know what you are taking. The downside of sleeping pills. There are two major difficulties with sleeping pills. Prolonged use brings tolerance. Over time, it will take greater and greater dosages of the same medication to have any effect on your sleep. Sleeping pills can be addictive, and withdrawal will be difficult and uncomfortable. After only 2 or 3 nights of using sleeping pills, when you stop, you are likely to have bad dreams and even more insomnia than before. In some, for short-term insomnia, the safe and responsible use of both prescribed and over-the-counter sleeping pills can be an effective means of inducing sleep. Far better is to follow sleep strategies that will produce restful, natural sleep night after night. A digression. What's the melatonin craze all about? Relatively recently, synthetically produced versions of natural chemicals known to play a role in sleep have been marketed as sleep aids. Of these, the hormone melatonin has received the most attention. Melatonin is naturally secreted by the pineal gland in the brain in response to darkness. It is known to lower body core temperature and cause drowsiness. Research has shown that melatonin taken as a supplement can hasten sleep onset and can reset your internal clock. It does not seem to be addictive or produce the negative side effects of many prescription sleeping pills and over-the-counter remedies. A recent study showed that melatonin was particularly helpful in reducing insomnia in the elderly. We produce less melatonin naturally as we get older. So some researchers have suggested introducing melatonin using special slow-release capsules that mimic natural melatonin secretion. The pill has also been touted as an aid in reducing jet lag if the right dose is taken at the right time. Preliminary research indicates that low doses of melatonin are as effective as high doses, so more is not necessarily better. In fact, 1 milligram, the smallest dosage sold, is at least 3 times higher than the melatonin level normally found in the human body. Perhaps melatonin, a potent hormone, can help reset the body's aging clock, boost the immune system, keep cells from disintegrating, and slow the growth of tumors. Perhaps not. There have been too few studies to date. Melatonin is not considered a drug and is therefore not screened by the Food and Drug Administration. Long-term effects have not been sufficiently studied, and there is little regulation to check the production purity of melatonin or other remedies that you may buy in health food store. Some physicians and researchers are optimistic about melatonin supplements, but if you decide to take melatonin, you are putting yourself at an unknown potential risk until long-term studies are completed. Part 4. Coping with sleep deprivation. You must sleep sometime between lunch and dinner, and no halfway measures. Take off your clothes and get into bed. That's what I always do. Don't think you will be doing less work because you sleep during the day. That's a foolish notion held by people who have no imagination. You will be able to accomplish more. You get 2 days in one. Well, at least 1.5, I'm sure. When the war started, I had to sleep during the day because that was the only way I could cope with my responsibilities. Winston Churchill. Chapter 9. The Nod to Midday Naps. Is it a good idea to nap? It depends. If you have difficulty falling asleep at night, you should avoid taking daytime naps. Your daytime sleep, especially if it's longer than 30 minutes, could be causing or exacerbating your nighttime insomnia. Most sleep specialists believe that naps are a good idea only if you can manage to get one continuous period of sleep at night that is long enough to enable you to be fully alert all day long. If your hectic lifestyle doesn't permit you to get adequate nocturnal rest, take a nap on a regular basis. You won't be alone. Half the world's population naps during the stretch from 1 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Today, the average American takes about 1 to 2 naps a week. About 25% of Americans never nap, and about 30% nap more than 4 times a week. In a study of undergraduate students, we found that 83% experience mid-afternoon drowsiness and 81% take a nap at least once a week. Naps are healthy if you're sleep deprived, as long as they don't interfere with your ability to fall asleep at your appropriate bedtime. Is there an inborn tendency to nap? Recent research indicates that the human body is inclined to rest in the middle of the afternoon as well as at night. Even after adequate nocturnal sleep, a heavy meal at lunch doesn't make you sleepy. It simply unmasks the physiological sleepiness that's already in your body. The post-lunch dip and alertness occurs whether or not food is consumed. Dr. William Dement, director of the Sleep Disorders Clinic and Research Center at Stanford University, says it seems nature definitely intended that adults should nap in the middle of the day, perhaps to get out of the midday sun. Dr. Dement, the Canadian sleep specialist Dr. Roger Broughton, and the University of Pennsylvania's Dr. David Dingers found that our natural sleep pattern is biphasic. We have a significant drop in body core temperature and alertness at night, and a similar but smaller drop in the middle of the day, according to Dr. Dings. A tendency to get sleepy at certain times is biological. The afternoon trough occurs approximately 12 hours after the middle of your night's rest. It's then that you need a nap the most, especially if you have slept poorly the night before and piled up a sleep debt. It's not surprising that more accidents occur between 2 and 4 p.m. than in any other daytime hours. Better you should be napping than driving around in a zombie-like state. Some more reasons to nap. Reduce stress. Siesta-loving Europeans and Latin Americans are more relaxed. They usually score better on stress tests than North Americans. The risk of heart disease is shown to be greatly reduced by regular 30-minute naps. Naps greatly strengthen the ability to pay close attention to details and to make critical decisions. Naps taken about 8 hours after you wake have been proved to do much more for you than if you added those 20 minutes onto already adequate nocturnal sleep. How long should a nap last? A nap should be about 15 to 30 minutes in duration. If you nap longer than 30 minutes, your body lapses into delta or deep sleep. Delta sleep is difficult to wake from, and if interrupted or just completed, can leave you feeling terribly groggy. If you are severely sleep deprived and must nap longer than 30 minutes, you should probably extend it to a full hour and a half to complete a sleep cycle. But you don't expect to be fully alert until at least an hour after the nap. Your nocturnal sleep time is likely to be shorter after a long daytime nap. Count the time spent napping as part of your total sleep quotient. Dr. Jeffrey Midgo contends that the body only needs about 50 minutes to nap because it is a very resilient system that doesn't need much more than that to rejuvenate. If you take time to turn the nervous system off, the whole system recharges. Your mood will improve, as will your alertness. If you're going to nap in the middle of the day, be consistent and make a habit of napping every day. Any regular napping schedule might disrupt your internal body clock and nocturnal sleep pattern. Napping only on the weekends is like dieting or exercising only on the weekends. To make up for a week of overeating and not exercising, it doesn't work. Brief naps taken daily are far healthier than sleeping in or taking very long naps on the weekend. If you nap too long on Sunday afternoon to catch up from your week's hectic schedule, you'll have trouble getting to sleep that night. This shifts your biological clock, making it difficult to get up in time on Monday to start the new work week. You might have to work through your mid-afternoon period of drowsiness because there is no time or opportunity for a nap. After this, you might feel increased alertness, especially if you're doing something interesting. This is because your clock alerting circadian rhythm has passed its low point and is beginning to rise again. However, don't think this second one means you're not still prone to an unexpected sleep seizure. You haven't repaid any previous sleep debt. If you start doing something sedentary like driving a car or watching television, you could suddenly fall asleep. Late afternoon napping isn't healthy. It delays your falling asleep time in the evening and because it shifts your biological clock, making getting up in the morning a struggle. Senior citizens who have nocturnal insomnia should refrain from napping at all. It would only make things worse. Better to be exhausted in the evening and getting along continuous nocturnal sleep. Is napping natural? The judicial system of the United States has made it official. Napping is natural. A recent ruling by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit granted a new trial to a defendant who claimed his attorney was asleep for most of the proceedings. The court declared there are states of drowsiness that come over everyone from time to time during a working day. You may want to take a mid-afternoon nap but can't seem to fall asleep. If that's the case, don't worry. Maybe you're not overly sleep deprived in the first place, or you might be too stressed or stimulated to nod off. Just the act of relaxing, meditating, or lying down with your eyes closed will be beneficial in restoring energy. Prophylactic napping. Napping makes it possible to deposit needed assets in your sleep bank account. If you know you'll be going to bed late on a given night because of travel or evening social events, take a preparatory nap that day. These prophylactic naps can be 2 to 3 hours in duration and are effective in providing additional hours of alertness that night. You'll feel a bit groggy for about 30 minutes following a long nap. That's called sleep inertia, but it will soon give way to feelings of alertness. Researchers have demonstrated that when people napped in preparation for an all-nighter, their performance the next day was superior to those who did not take the prophylactic nap. In fact, they were 30% more alert and optimistic than people who did not nap. When you take a long nap, remember that your nocturnal sleep will be reduced by the amount of shut-eye that you got that day. Napping for 15 minutes every 4 hours for a total of 1.5 hours of sleep per day, first suggested by Leonardo da Vinci, is often used by solo sailors on long voyages and for those performing long hours under emergency circumstances. Fire and earthquake rescue, for example. As a stopgap measure, it seems to work for short periods of time. Can you get the nod at work? The notion of sleeping on the job isn't very well received by industry. Companies equate napping with laziness, and lazy or not, you might get chastised or even fired if you're caught trying to catch a few winks. But the fact is that today nearly everyone is sleep deprived, and sleepy workers are irritable, are likely to make mistakes and cause accidents, and are more susceptible to heart attacks and gastrointestinal disorders that cost money and disrupts lives. For hundreds of years in Latin America and in Europe, everyone quit work for a couple hours in the mid-afternoon and went home for a refreshing nap. However, siestas are becoming a thing of the past. As countries become more industrialized and transportation to and from work more congested, the siesta has all but disappeared. Too bad. Time for a change. A coffee or cola break, perceived as a legitimate part of the workday, does provide momentary feelings of alertness, but consumption of caffeine will be followed by feelings of lethargy and reduced REM sleep that night. A debt in your sleep bank account, the cause of midday sleepiness, is not reduced by these artificial stimulants. Why not attack the problem directly and get some needed sleep? We must strive to recognize brief naps as legitimate and much more valuable than coffee breaks. The corporate culture will gradually change as information on the tremendous costs of sleep deprivation and on the biphasic pattern of natural sleep become more widespread. Accepting the concept of napping will reduce errors and accidents, raise job satisfaction, reduce illness, and ultimately improve the bottom line. What companies lose in time, they can make up in increased productivity. It's a winning situation that should make sense to everyone. Since corporations have accepted the concept of power breakfast, I coined the term power nap to encourage institutionalization of naps as work. A recent survey indicated that many executives take brief naps in the office to recharge their batteries. Why not allow all workers to have the same privilege? In many corporate offices, comfortable couches and sleep-friendly office furniture for midday snoozes are replacing hardback chairs. Cots are becoming available in lounges off the factory floor, and it's working wonders. Employees are more alert, more productive, and less accident prone.